Hey everybody, thought I'd stop by Target and take a look. That's pretty sad, huh? Hey y'all, this is Kevin with Random Rips, and I kind of wanted to do something a little special tonight. I've got some packs of 89 Pro Set, and I was going to tell you a story and open some 89 Pro Set. Maybe we'll find that William Refrigerator Perry error card, the one that wasn't supposed to be printed. And we'll talk about the year 1989. For those of you that were around back then, you might remember before the internet. It was maybe 4 years before the internet would come along, 5 years before eBay would change the face of collecting forever. So let me turn the camera around and get some Pro Set opened, and we'll talk about 1989. I'd been working at the card shop for about a year, probably, when Pro Set came out on the shelf. A couple years before then, say around 87, I met a guy named Dan that became a pretty quick friend. We shared a lot of interests, and it wasn't long before he walked in, or I walked into where he was working at a convenience store. I was delivering pizzas, and he had just bought a few packs of some brand new cards he had opened and put out on the counter at the convenience store. Yeah, kids, they used to sell cards at convenience stores. They were 50 cents a pack, and those were, I believe, 88 tops had just come out. That was the first pack I ever bought. And it wasn't long after that. That was about the time the junk wax era was starting, if you don't know. Coach cards, lots of Coach cards. Huh? Look at that, 3 in a row. 4 in a row. Jimmy Johnson. Man, he was a young, handsome dude back then, wasn't he? And Steve Young. Always liked him. But yeah, we started chasing Bo rookie cards in the 87 Donruss, and that's one of the reasons it's still one of my favorite sets. As you can see back there, I'm one of my favorite guys to collect. You know, back then there was no slabs. You just looked at the card, and if it looked good, you paid for it. Some people looked a lot closer than other people, and some people got taken. But that's not much different from now. Now we just have slabs and fake slabs and fake autos and everything else that can be fake. There's Herschel Walker, Georgia Bulldog. It's probably the reason I started watching football of any type ever. So I was about 14, 15 when he was the #1 college player in the world, or in the country, whatever. Another Coach card, another Coach card. Wow. But yeah, we went to a few shops in the area. There was a comic shop that I was a comic collector for years, and there was a guy named Bobby that ran the card section in the back, and we became friends with him and bought 87 Donruss for $4 a pack to chase the Bo Jackson card. And I think Dan bought a pack of 81 Topps football from him for like $10, trying to get that Joe Montana card. And nobody bought football back then. A few years later, that would be a lot more expensive pack of a pack, although nothing like now. Morton Anderson, that dude kicked ball for a long, long time for the Saints. And we'd go to other shops around the area and just got to know everybody in the community. There was no internet, no eBay. It'd be, gosh, 5, 6, 7 years before eBay opened their doors, even. I do like these Super Bowl cards, but boy, they had a centering issue back then. But Yeah, we found a shop called Crossroads Trading Company, kind of out in the middle of nowhere between our little town and another little town. It was the Crossroads, and the owners were George and Nancy. They were they were great people, just the best. They ended up, because of the card explosion, they couldn't keep up with the cards, and they ended up hiring both myself and Dan. And we worked there together for 10 years. They were like family to us. And it was just a great little place to work. I'm going to put a picture up now, a couple pictures, and one of them is of Nancy standing inside the shop by one of the football display case, actually, which is where I spent most of my time working. Dan handled the baseball, and I did everything else. And George and Nancy, Nancy just loved sports, loved baseball, and loved collecting stuff. She fell right into it, and it was just her thing. I know we had many times where, let's get back into opening some packs now. Good cards would come into the shop, and she would have a hard time selling them because she was a collector as much as she was a dealer, but she always ended up taking the money because she knew that was what she had to do. She had to pay me and Dan for one thing. And but she loved to gamble too. If they had had $5,000 boxes with 3 cards in them like they do today, her and George would have said, no way are we ever going to do that. We'll never do that. And they would come slinking back from the very next show with half a dozen of them. Guarantee you. That's the kind of people they were. It was great. But back then there just wasn't that many things. I mean, not only did they sell cards, but it was kind of like Dickens' old curiosity shop. You'd go in there and there was no telling what kind of oddball stuff George had found or picked up somewhere related to coins or jewelry, or he dealt in gold and silver and jewelry in his end of the shop, and he's the one that really kept the business going as it ends up. Bernie Kosar. There was columns, 5 foot, as tall as I am, 6 foot tall columns of 5,000 count boxes filled with commons, and we would haul them to shows so that people could fill out their sets and finish sets. I don't think you ever see that anymore. Just nothing but star cards nowadays. Of course, we couldn't get online and order our commons either. We had to go to a shop, and to keep up with the sports, we had to watch ESPN. Thank God there was an ESPN. Otherwise, it would have been the newspaper. There was no internet, no social media to tell us who was hot and what somebody had done the day before or that day. I remember many times people coming in and going through the common boxes and pulling out all the cards of one particular player and buying all of them. And then we come to find out that that guy had made a really big play that day. It didn't matter. Usually you'd go right back down to, rarely did they stay up just for one good day, but, you know, people would do that. And we worked there for 10 years. We had all kind of cool customers come in. There was this one guy, Ray Epps, walked with the cane. He had all kind of health problems. But he was he's your classic used car. I think his brother actually was a used car salesman. But he was your classic hustler. He would go out all day long, run around hustling cards at the different local card shops in the area. And there were far more then than we have now, even with this latest explosion in cards. It's just, now we have the internet. And there's only one card shop within 100 miles of me. It happens to be in my town, thankfully. But aren't that many. Back then there was at least 6 within 10 miles of me, 3 of them right here in this town. But we had quite a few kids. We had, if you look in that picture, I'll put it up again. Look in that picture and you see that camera up in the corner. That thing was, there's Randall Cunningham. That's a Hall of Famer there. That guy was, that camera never worked. Not once. But it did recover our stolen Nolan Ryan rookie card twice. Just by getting the right person convinced that it did work. And we know you have it, and if you bring it back, we won't take it to the police. And it worked both times. Oh, Nancy was amazing. That was really something, she could do that. I really miss them. George had a stroke, and that was about 97, 98, 99. I kind of forget. I'm getting old. But once he had that stroke, he couldn't keep his thoughts, and he couldn't talk. He knew what he wanted to say, and he couldn't say it. And it was really frustrating, and he couldn't buy and sell coins, not being able to communicate like that. And they ended up having to close the doors, regretfully. And not long after that, Nancy contacted me, and I had just recently, now this was 24 years ago, because eBay told me the other day it's been 24 years since she became a customer. And I helped her get rid of a lot of the stuff left over. There were a couple of Michael Jordan rookie cards, probably Jim Mint 10s, because over the 10 years of people bringing that card in, she would always pick the best one and keep it for herself. The cards she had in that safe would blow your mind. We'd be millionaires sitting here right now. But, wow. So Dan and I would go off and do shows, and sometimes George and Nancy would go off and do shows, and this kind of shows you right here in this picture what the shop looked like. It was just full of character. It's the best way to put it. It was a mess. There was little trinkets everywhere of the strangest and wildest things that George could find. I picked up one time, and it was the mold for the necklace for the Allman Brothers Band mushroom that the band had made back in the late 60s, and all the members had one. And he had picked it up at some auction in Macon. Just cool stuff like that. But he passed not long after the stroke. I didn't see him much after the shop closed, and it was probably about 10 years ago, maybe a little longer, that Nancy passed. And both Ray and Bobby that I mentioned, both of them passed away in the past decade. And in 2019, my best friend of 30 years, Dan, passed away. And I'm just, I've gotten back into the hobby, and there's no one to talk to. No one that was around then with me, dealing with the cards then. None of them are here now. So I thought I'd make this channel. And I appreciate those of you that have come along and watched. And I hope you stick around. Give me someone to talk to. Because nobody I see every day knows about cards. Except Charlie at the local card shop, and I'm probably driving him nuts. So, talk to me. Leave a comment, like this, and subscribe. Let me know you're out there and give me a reason to keep doing it. And I'm gonna try and build me a set of the Super Bowl cards. I'm pretty sure I had one back in the day. I'm sure it's worth nothing, but I'm gonna do it anyway. And I don't think we saw William Perry, and I bet you I got the other guy that took his spot. There's Jim Kelly. And I gotta get some high numbers, because only in the high numbers can you get the really good guys. Barry Sanders, Deion Sanders. That's one of the ones we chased out of these Pro Set back in 1989. And I picked up my iconic Bo Jackson cards that I chased back in the day. And I was able to get them in 9s anyway, although I have no idea what this is. One of the first things I bought when I got back into the hobby, and I don't know what AGC grading is, and I didn't know anything about grading companies then. So yeah, I probably screwed up. I don't think I paid but $20 for it though, so hey. Well, I'll see you guys tomorrow with another short, and hopefully something a little newer to open.